So today what I'm going to show you is how to use a grid to create an isometric kind of maze cube, and then we'll use our generative recolor to give it some kind of cool looking color. So the first thing I want you to do is, just open up a new file, and then in your file there's a few different things that we're going to do. So we're going to use rulers and grids. You'll have to go into your view. One of the first things we'll do is we can set up our rulers. So show rulers is Command, or on a PC Control R, and then show grid right here is going to be Control and then apostrophe. So I'm going to go ahead and hit show grid, so that pops up. Then I'll go to view, rulers, and show rulers. One of the nice things about rulers is that you can click on the ruler and pull a guide out. And you'll see these kind of like cyan lines will pop up, and those can be helpful for actually seeing your work and aligning things either vertically or horizontally within your design composition. I'm not really going to get into rulers too much right now, but I want you to know that they're there. Control R will bring them up, and then also Control colon or semicolon will make them hide. The grid typically is going to be set to an inch by inch, so I'm going to zoom in and we're just going to create our own kind of maze. So I'm going to do hotkey P to get my pen tool, and one of the last things I'm going to do is go to my view and then make sure that snap to grid is set up. So I'm going to work within just one of these square grids, and I'm going to make three flat surfaces to a cube, and then I'll actually use the 3D effects in Illustrator to put them on these three different isometric planes of a cube. So let's just go into this. Again, with the pen tool and with it snapping to the grid, I can kind of move pretty quickly here. I'm going to do Shift X to have my fill go away and my stroke to show up. And I'm just going to play with kind of creating some kind of maze-like form here. Then I'll do Shift X. That makes my stroke go to a fill. Building right next to it, I'm going to go and change my color to something slightly different. I'll just make it a lighter pink. I'll hit P for my pen tool, and then I'm going to click and continue to build my next form. So Shift X, and that'll be my second face, the isometric right. And then I'm just going to choose one of these sides to actually start on. So I'm going to take my pen tool, and let's just go. Some of this might come together a little strange, but not really worried about it. So let's change this to a third color just so we know we've got three different colors, three different pieces. Again, we're thinking about this cube here. So we made our mazes to do isometric left, right, and then top. And so what we'll do now is we'll use Illustrator to kind of put these into those correct perspectives. So let's click on the top one first, and then we'll go into the same area. So Effect, 3D Materials, 3D Classic, and then in this case, if you want to do both the isometric movement and also an extrusion, which means that it'll kind of stretch out, we'll click on this Extrude and Bevel. So I'll click on that. Now you can see it's both created a 3D effect and a depth to it. So let's go ahead and go from off axis. We'll do isometric top. That looks pretty good. Right now it's set to 50 points, and I think that should be fine. So let's just go ahead and hit OK. And I can move that piece over there. I'll click on this one, go to Effect, 3D Materials, 3D Classic, Extrude and Bevel Classic. I'll click on the menu, and this one's going to be isometric left. So I'll click on that, and I'll hit OK. Then I'll click on my last piece here, and I'm going to go to Effect, 3D Materials, 3D Classic, and then Extrude and Bevel Classic. And then again, select my isometric setting, but in this case, it's going to be the right-hand side. So I click right and then hit OK. So what we're going to do here is we're going to expand them, and then we'll use our shape builder and just get rid of all the pieces that we don't need. And then we'll probably take a little bit of time to put it back together. So I'm going to select all these, and then I'll go to Object and then Expand Appearance. And now you can see I have vector lines that are associated with all these objects now. So I'm going to take my shape builder, which is Shift M. I'm going to hold Alt, which makes it negative. And then I'm going to draw across all the pieces that I don't want. So in this case, I'm just erasing all of the pieces that are not the isometric top. And so you may lose pieces like we're doing here, but don't worry, we can rebuild those later. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to this one. Shift M to get my shape builder, hold Alt, Shift M to get my shape builder. And so now we can bring all three together, and it should start to create this image of this three-dimensional form. So I'm going to bring them pretty close together, and then we'll do the last fine-tuning to bring them together. So let's zoom in. Because I'm still snapping to the grid, I want to make sure that I go to View and then down to past my guides, and then I'm going to take Snap to Grid off, and that way it'll allow me to kind of like move these pieces like right in together. And you can see there's a little bit of misalignment. I'm not entirely sure why it didn't do like a perfect illustration, but we might have to do a little bit of touch up to get that just perfect. So the last thing I would do is we'll get rid of our grids, we'll hide our guides. Again, that's Control colon and Control apostrophe. And then you can apply some kind of color in the background. And then just select your whole kind of like maze cube. And then you can hit this recolor button at the top. Go to your generative recolor and, I don't know, play around with it. See if you can find something that would be exciting or fun. That's kind of cool. And then you can save and submit. Neat thing about this, again, is getting into understanding how to go from shape to form, so two-dimensional to three-dimensional, and using some of Illustrator's 3D effects by getting into Effect, 3D Materials, 3D Classic, and the Extrude and Bevel Classic.